The Elements of Harmony and Save Your World by RK Striker JK5. Chapter 21. Megan clenched her jaw and stepped back. And she turned to Mike and held up a hand. I'm alright, she said, forcing a smile. She looked down at Twilight, then back to the kitchen, even as Danny, Molly, Michelle, and Danielle entered the living room. The government knows. She looked back to Chip. Alright, Mr. Tice. She spread out her arms in a smile. You got me. There's a portal to another world in the backyard. She turned and meandered over to a bookcase, plucking out a copy of My Little Horsey. She turned and flipped it open, displaying an image of a blue Pegasus with whistles for a cutie mark. One whistler was my friend back then. She turned more pages to another image, this time of a pink Pegasus with yellow lightning bolts on her flanks, and of course, Firefly. She glanced down at the floor and smiled. I believe this is the one Admiral Delgado mentioned seeing in his memoirs. Daniel spoke up. Mom's not in trouble, is she? She swallowed. Her cheeks grew red as everyone turned to her. Well, I mean, she didn't do anything wrong, right? Chip adjusted his glasses before speaking. Well, she didn't do anything wrong, Miss Danielle, right? At her nod, he continued, sweeping his gaze over everyone in the living room. He walked over to a radio on the stand, turned it, and began adjusting the dials. It took a lot longer for the FCC to figure out where the radio signal was coming from. The radio speaker squelched as he moved through the various stations. Radio signals through an interdimensional gateway apparently don't behave normally. He looked back as he stopped turning the dial. I can't wait to examine it. A tinny voice came through the final radio speakers, somewhat flat. Yo, listen to K-Code, Ponyville's #1 first radio station. Stay tuned for a repeat of the premiere of Final Scratch's radio program and a concert from Cantaloupe featuring Octavia. Mike Story shook his head. I'll leave you to write that, Diane. He narrowed his eyes at Chip. Okay, so Megan's not in trouble. Good. Megan suddenly cleared her throat. Okay, everyone. She stepped forward, pivoted on her heel, and held her arms up. If it's all right, I'd like a few minutes to talk with Mr. Chase alone. She held up her hands as family began protesting. Please, this will be a lot easier for everyone without a lot of interruptions. Mike got eyes with her and took her hand. Are you sure? Megan leaned forward and gave him a quick kiss on the lips. I'm sure. Well, thank you. Danny raised his hand, then placed his wheelchair's wheel and spun around. Come on, kids, he said, rolling off. I think your mother needs some time alone with Mr. Trace. He suddenly stopped to turn back. We'll be right here, he said, locking eyes with Megan. Megan smiled at her brother before turning to Twilight as Mike, Danielle, Michelle, and Molly followed Danny back to the kitchen. You might want to stay, too. Twilight cocked her head to the side as she regarded Megan. Why wouldn't I stay? This is huge! She looked back to Chip and walked up to him, extending a foreleg. It's an honor to meet you, Mr. Chase. My name is Twilight Sparkle. I'm the personal protege of Princess Celestia, ruler of Equestria. Chip grinned and knelt down. He gently took Twilight's foreleg in his hand and gently shook it. The honor is mine, Twilight. So, alternate dimension? Or are you simply from another planet in the Milky Way galaxy? Megan spoke up. I think it's another dimension. She turned and pointed to the backyard. It's been 20 years since I went to Twilight's world, but there are about 1,500 years have passed. She rubbed the bridge of her nose. It's almost totally different from when I lived. There's a nation there of ponies, with their own government, their own territory. It's incredible what they've done. Her face lit up a smile. They're safe. Twilight's eyes narrowed. Yes, we're safe. Not counting the Everfree forest, the Griffin Empire up north, the Ursa Mazers and Myers in the northeast tundra, Outcaster the Dragonclads, mercenary bands near the south, and the desert elusives to the southeast, and changelings, and caribou, and bars, and sometimes the deer if they are really circus elves. Perfectly safe, she concluded with a roll of her eyes. Megan waggled her hair a bit. Okay. But compared to Dream Valley, you're living in paradise. Oh, almost forgot. Centaurs. She placed a hand on her chest. Trust me on that. She looked at Chip. Those books I wrote are soft and slightly, but what happened back then is in there. You trust me on this. I still have nightmares about some of the horrors I saw, and I'm not just talking about monsters either. Chip glanced at the ceiling. I know what you mean, Mrs. Richards. I still get shivers thinking about my first encounter with a Decepticon. Ugh. He looked back down, focusing on the spot on the floor Megan left. There's nothing like a laser-spewing condor strafing your car to really wake you up to the real world. He looked to Megan, sort of like forging a tree between the skylines of the pink, the ponies of the plains, and the mazes of the rock. Megan snorted. Might be a little less lethal, but I learned a lot from those talks. Danny, Molly, and I had our hands full trying to get everyone on the same page with the Equestrian Alliance. But Pansy, Smart Cookie, and Clover smoothed things over. King Blue Blood the First especially wanted peace after his daughter was lost. She sighed in her soldier slump. Still wish I could have held Platinum. She was a bit stuck up, but her heart was in the right place. She nodded. Some of the negotiations with the Autobots about technology exchanges went way over my head. I just want everyone to help sit down and help each other. He rolled his eyes. I'm glad I got Spike stuck with being Earth's ambassador and not me. Wow. Danny must be having a blast up there. Twilight looked up at Chip. Spike? I'm guessing he's not a dragon? At his look, he shrugged. My assistant is a baby dragon named Spike. He's annoying at times, but he's also my best friend and circuit brother. A warm smile drifted across her face before she gasped. And he might be wondering where I am! He guessed it, Twilight, then Chip. Mr. Chase, layers, please, call me Chip. There was a pause before Megan continued, a small smile on her lips. Okay, Chip, as long as it's Megan and not Mrs. Richards. She caught his throat. Anyway, the thing we do have appointments over in Equestria. She went back to the kitchen. Mike promised to do some work at Sweet Apple Acres, and I had plans with Princess Celestia, and my kids were going to meet up with the friends they made over there too. Chip nodded. Okay, fair enough. He knelt down, placed his briefcase on the floor, opened it up, and pulled out 3 pieces of machinery. He hooked them together to form an oblong black rectangle with an aperture at one end and a touch-sensitive screen on the other. But I have to get readings on the interdimensional hull to determine its true nature and any possible dangers it might pose, he said, his expression turning somewhat serious. Twilight blinked. Dangers? She repeated. She looked to Megan. Wait, what dangers? Were there any dangers back at Dream Valley? Chip pressed the screen, and the scanner began emitting a mild hum. Well, I have no idea. What if the hull's unstable or explodes? Or begins to expand to encompass all of Earth? There's any number of possibilities. Megan blanched and looked back. Expand? Explode? But it hasn't done anything! Yet. She let her head step back. All right, Chip, lead the way. Chip nodded. He walked through the living room and kitchen to the outside. Megan, Twilight, and Megan's family following. Megan stood by Danny and Molly. Nothing was wrong then, she said. Why would anything be wrong now? Danny looked up to her and rolled along. Well, it's not like we ever found out how the Rainbow Bridge was formed in the first place, right? Firefly just sort of appeared over the rainbow one day and asked for your help. He glanced up at the hole in the sky and the solidified rainbow arcing down from it. Did Firefly punch a hole through time and space, too? Chip stopped before the rainbow. His gaze stripped up over it. Outrageous, he whispered, reaching out to it. He suddenly stepped back and held up a scanner. A haze formed in front of the emitter and swept over everything. This is solidified light! Literally frozen! The photons! Oh, I could spend a year on this alone! He looked to Twilight, then stepped over her. What happened? How did this form? He asked, dropping to one knee. Twilight glanced up. I was in a balloon with Spike near the Everfree forest when a dragon tried to incinerate it. Long story. A rainbow dash flew over to grab me just as I was teleporting away. She was going so fast she initiated a sonic rain boom, and my teleporting combined with that ripped a hole in the space-time continuum, sending us right back to Megan's yard. She suddenly slapped her face before like, and you don't know who Dash is or what a sonic rain boom is, right? Daniel spoke up. Hi, is this hole in space dangerous, Mr. Chase? She hopped up on one foot. I mean, I only just met them, but Michelle and I have made some good friends over there. I don't want anything bad happening. Chip looked back up and looked at Danielle. He held up a scanner and looked at the screen. You'll be happy to know that the hole is stable and not expanding. He turned to look up at it. Kind of ashamed, though. It's a bit small. Twilight, you said you could teleport? Twilight's horn glowed as she disappeared in a flash of light. There was a pop as she reappeared in front of Chip. She looked at him as he stumbled back. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry! She screamed, blushing. I figured a practical demonstration would be better. Mike stepped over to her and grabbed Chip's arm, saying to him, You all right? It's not, he must have Twilight. Just be glad she didn't teleport you. The headaches and dizziness aren't fun at all. He held his hand to Twilight's glare. But it's getting better. Molly held up her hand and wigged about. Okay, so the hell's not a danger to Earth, Megan's not in trouble, and I assume there won't be any military intervention of any sort? She spread her arms. Okay, then. So now what? Chip looked at her. Well, probably some formal first contact procedure. I know I have to report to President Abernathy about this. He rubbed his chin. Normally, first contact is carried out in space, not on Earth itself. Twilight, would it be possible to carry a message to your princess? Twilight stood up straight and nodded, her mouth a thin line. You can count on me, Mr. Chase. Chip smiled at the purple pony. Thanks. He pulled his cell phone out of his pocket and held it up, pointing the built-in camera in and out itself. He turned it on and began speaking. Princess Celestia, my name is Chip Chase, and on behalf of the President of the United States and humanity itself, I wish to invite to you, or a representative to Earth. We mean no harm, and we wish to learn more about you. He flipped it off and knelt down to Twilight's level. He held his phone out in front of her face. Okay, Twilight. Let's have Megan or someone play that back for her. Twilight's brow furrowed, and she levitated the phone out to his hand. Megan, this is like your cell phone, right? She turned it over, examining the screen. Touch-sensitive, icons for telling it what to do. She looked at Chip. The big arrow plays it back, correct? Chip blinked. He looked at her, looked at his hand, then to Twilight. Telekinesis. He pointed at her horn. You have telekinesis? He stood up. That's incredible! That explains how you built a civilization. Do all ponies have that? Twilight shook her head. Just unicorns. But it took a lot more than that to build Equestria. She drew herself straight and looked down. Earth ponies, Pegasi, and unicorns all worked together to build our nation. She turned her head around and looked at Megan. But if it wasn't for 3 young humans, we never would have started that in the first place. Her gaze swept around to Molly and Danny, a smile in her mouth and in her eyes. A voice stood out, steel coated by velvet. And we owe them a debt that can never be repaid. Chip's head darted about, his eyes wide behind his glasses. Okay, what's that? Sunlight streamed out of the hole, stopping in midair and collecting into a large circle. It glued, changing from yellow to white. Limbs extended, and a head emerged. A multicolored mane and tail floated out like solar winds, and wings unfurled, as Princess Celestia floated down. My apologies, she said to Chip. I didn't mean to startle you too badly. She looked to Megan, her eye winking. Megan's story bit her lip. Right, Celestia, you could have come over any time. She walked over to the outguard and wrapped her arms around her neck in a hug. What are you doing here? Celestia leaned into the hug. I realized how draining teleporting could be for Twilight, so I decided to help her out with that. And I had some news to deliver. She looked to Twilight, but stopped as she beheld her students' mane and tail. Twilight, are you taking lessons from Rarity? Twilight flicked her ribbon-festooned tail and rolled her eyes. It was last night. She looked at Michelle and half smiled. Michelle does excellent work. If humans get cutie marks, I think hers would be ponytail. Michelle beamed back at Twilight. Thanks. Celestia looked at Chip and stepped forward. Chip Chase. My name is Princess Celestia of Equestria. I am the diarch of the nation with my sister, Luna. She held a foreleg and extended a Chip. I extended a hoof of friendship to the people of Earth, on behalf of all Equestrians. Chip looked over Celestia and began reaching out, grabbing Celestia's foreleg. On behalf of the people of Earth, I accept your offer, your Majesty. He leaned forward in a stout bow before straightening it up. Celestia let out a sigh. Her wings unfurled and her horn lit up, casting a gold in the sky. May this day mark the beginning of a new age for my people, an era of peace, friendship, and harmony with humanity. She leaned forward. I invite you to Catalot, our capital, for a meeting. Mike stepped back and leaned in close to Danny. A bit dramatic? Danny shook his head. You should have seen Luna in the old days. She loved theatrics. Might be a bit too much, to be honest. Chip tilted his head down and scratched his forehead. Oh, I have to make some calls, but it shouldn't be a problem. I was given wide latitude with this assignment. He went to Twilight and held his hand out. So, can I have my phone back? Twilight floated Chip's cell phone back into his hand before trying over to Celestia's side. Princess, is there anything else? Celestia looked down at her soon and nodded. There's 2 ponies over there with good news. Her smiles fell away, and the elements of harmony might be needed sooner than we think. Megan's eyes widened. Lace cord? Celestia hesitated. I'll explain over in Ponyville. She looked up as Danny and Molly approached. My friends, she said, the smile returning. Danny bowed to the waist while Molly curtsied. Why else Luna? Danny asked. She's well, Celestia replied. She looked from one to the other and her bow creased. Is there something wrong? Molly grabbed her forearm. Celestia, Danny and I won't be coming with you this time. I have to get back to my clinic to check in. Danny glanced away from the grass. And I've got to get ready for class tomorrow. I've got students depending on me. He looked at Celestia, not quite meeting her eyes. Sorry. Celestia blinked. Sorry? For what, Danny? She raised a foreleg and scratched her forehead, right below her horn. Of course you two have duties here on Earth. I would never presume otherwise. She stepped forward and leaned her head down. I'll miss you, but please, do not feel some obligation to visit every day. That would be rather selfish of me. Both Molly and Danny patted her on the muzzle, scratching her nose. Thanks. Chip approached Celestia. The scanner was gone. In one hand held his briefcase, in the other his cell phone. All clear, he said. I have to report everything I see here and hopefully conduct an interview with either you or Princess Luna. I must be back by 6 p.m. local time. He glanced at his phone. It's 9:30 a.m. now. He rolled his eyes. Sorry, I forgot. On Earth. Celestia held up a hoof. We adopted Earth's timekeeping customs. Since before there was no standard practice among the pony tribes. But it might be better to discuss that in Equestria. She looked around. How much time does everyone need to get ready? Daniel and Michelle ran out to Celestia's side, while Mike jogged over to the shed. He emerged a half-minute later, hammer in one hand and toolbox in the other, and made his way to Megan's side. Sarah, just made a promise to Big Mac that I'll help him with his apple cart. I also told Applejack I'll help her with something else. Megan leaned over and kissed him on the cheek. You're so sweet. She looked at the house. Think you'll need any money? Tiny's horn flared as he disappeared. A few seconds later, she reappeared, a bag of bits flying next to her. Is 100 enough? She asked rather dryly. Megan snorted. See you, Billy. She looked at Danny and Michelle, standing on Celestia's other side. You two all psyched? After a nod, she looked at Celestia. I'll... Wait! Molly sounded. She ran inside the house. A few minutes later, she emerged with Megan's backpack and handed it to her big sister. Your emergency supplies, just in case. Megan took the backpack with one arm and wrapped the other around Molly's shoulders, pulling her in for a hug. Thanks. She slung it over her shoulder, banging against her rifle. Now we're all sight. The tip of Celestia's horn glowed, and she looked at Danny and Molly. Until next time. Danny held up an arm and wagged his fingers. I look forward to it. Molly waved a hand in the arm. Take care! Take a lot of pictures! Megan looked at Chip as he stood in front of Celestia, Twilight to his left. Ready to visit Equestria, Chip? Chip barked with a laugh. As an old friend would say, let's roll out! Celestia, Megan, Mike, Michelle, Daniel, Twilight, and Chip were all enveloped in a golden light. When it faded, they too had vanished from Earth. Chapter 22. Ponies gathered around the edge of Everfree, some merely spectators, but most of them had agenda in their minds. Applejack and Big Mac stood near the path that led to 3 Apple Acres. Slime Apple Bloom can't play here, Applejack drawled out. Big Mac nodded. Yup. Applejack glanced to her right, and the pigs just floating mere nearest to the ground. Thanks for making it out here, Applejack drawled out. She looked at the picnic basket and flare-sized hooves. Thanks for packing lunch, too, but Granny Smith's got a heap of cooking already done for lunch. Flare-sized cheeks colored slightly. Oh. She kicked the pig into the basket. Should I bring it back to my cottage? I don't want to offend Granny Smith. See, her head drooped a bit more, and a slight whimper came from her as she landed. Applejack swallowed. She raised the foreleg and patted Fluttershy on the back and shook her head. It's all right, Slicker Cube. I'm sure Granny will appreciate your work. She laid down and set the basket. Smells right foul, she said, swallowing as her mouth watered. She glanced at Big Mac and Toss. Just the sort of thing you'd love to smell every day, right? She nudged him with a foreleg grin. Big Mac rolled his eyes. Serious? He turned his head, focusing on a pair standing a few meters to his left. One was Princess Cadence, looking up at the hole in the sky with eager eyes. The other was a unicorn stallion, wearing the dress uniform of the Royal Guard. The stallion caught Big Mac's stare and looked at him, locking eyes. Is there a problem? He asked, turning to fully face Big Mac. The large red stallion rolled his eyes and shook his head. Not with you specifically. With your uniform, however. He snorted. Royal Guard, eh? He walked around the stallion, who instinctively snapped to attention. Little whips and noble ponies employ a being a soldier. Wouldn't know what to do with a griffin flank drive with a map! Applejack stared at her brother, mouthed agape. Make it to us, Apple! She exclaimed, speeding to his side. She tapped his torso with a foreleg. What a tall nice is going to you? She turned to Keynes and the stallion and bowed her head. Beg your pardon, sir, but my brother, he's completely right, he said, his white coat blasting red. He looked at Big Mac and extended foreleg. Captain Shining Armor, Mr. Apple, personally appointed by General Steel to clean up the guard and restore it to its former glory. Big Mac looked at the foreleg for a moment, before raising his own foreleg and pressing it to Shining Armor's hoof. Major Charles Apple, formerly Sergeant Apple of the Royal Tank Corps' 1st Tank Regiment. His eyes gleamed slightly. Otherwise known as the Steel Hooves. Okay, I know Arcade Striker doesn't read Follow Equestria, but I'm a big fan of Follow Equestria, as you people might not know. So, and Steel Hooves is one of my favorite characters when that thick. So, it's, I'm sorry. Shining Armor's eyes glanced up and down Big Mac's entire body. He let out a slow whinny. Steel Hooves? What the hell are you doing here at Ponyville? Shouldn't you be leading a tank company or something?
I don't know. I don't know how I got here into the past, but you may call me Apple Snack.
There was a pause. Big Man's head drooped as he closed his eyes.
Remember the flood of the 14 now to 7? It was bad here in Ponyville, but the worst was near Sweet Apple Acres. And
his voice hit slightly, his chest and barrel heaving. His head rose and eyes suddenly opened. He looked to his right, seeing Applejack with a foreleg around his neck and a smile on her muzzle that almost reached his eyes. He then looked ahead, seeing Cadence resting a hoof on his left side shoulder. He swallowed his tears.
So, sir, it's just sometimes thinking about Mom and Pa and what happened there.
He let out a sigh. A smile crossed Cadence's muzzle. Your feelings for your parents are true, strong and faithful. Never apologize for them. So he glanced at Shining Armor, who returned to it. The two mares withdrew their forelegs from Big Mac. He looked at Shining Armor. He drew himself to attention and snorted, his nostrils flaring and eyes narrowing.
Captain Shining Armor?
Shining Armor drew himself to attention, staring off in the distance. Sergeant? Big Macintosh stared right ahead to Shining Armor's eyes, and then extended a foreleg.
Bring the Royal Guard back to what it was, sir. Bring it back to what it was when they defended Carolot from Grogar's army single-hoofed. Back when they only one standing between Equestria and that great empire so long ago.
His eyes softened.
Please.
Shining Armor slowly nodded, extending his own foreleg and tossing it to Big Mac's. Consider it done. Applejack let out a breath. She looked at Cadence and bowed her legs slightly. Begging your pardon, your majesty. Cadence. Applejack's head darted back. Pardon me? A sigh came from the pink-coated alicorn and rolled her eyes. Please, no your majesty, or your highness, or any other titles. I don't want some huge distance going between other ponies and I. Whenever some pony bows to Aunt Celestia, it makes her uncomfortable, no matter who it is. I'm not as old as she is, or Aunt Luna. But I've already got ponies prostrating themselves particularly because of these. She unfurled her wings and motioned to her horn. It's just annoying and demeaning to them, she said, lowering her foreleg and kicking at the grass. Applejack nodded. My apologies, Cadence. She cleared her throat. Ahem. So, begging your pardon, but what brings you all out here? She glanced at the hole in the sky. Playing on Princess Celestia? Cadence nodded. She followed Applejack's gaze and looked at the hole. Aunt Celestia has news concerning something at Canterlot. Plus, Shining here wants to see his sister. She looked up to a suddenly buzzing Shining Armor. You barely fight the Twilight anymore, for Keaton's sake! Shining Armor swallowed and scratched the back of his head. Well, I've been a bit busy with the Royal Guard, and she's had her studies and all sorts of adventures. He looked at Applejack. I've read and heard what you've been up to. He shook his head, winking. And I thought 6 months up north was dangerous. Applejack's right eyebrow twitched. She slowly pointed to Shining Armor. What? You're Twilight's brother? She looked at Big Mac. Did you know about this? Big Mac shook his head.
Nope. Of course, I'm not as close as you two are.
Shining Armor whipped his head back and forth. Wait, Twilight never told you about me? You're the element of honesty, right? One of her closest friends, and she never told you she had a brother? But I just... Never? Cadence's eyes glanced back and forth from Shining Armor to Applejack and Big Mac. She wrapped a foreleg around her cold friend's neck and pulled him in for a close hug. I'm sure she was planning on getting around to it. Eventually, I hope. She looked at Applejack, her eyes shining slightly. Applejack's head whipped around. Oi! Fluttershy! She half shouted, waving over to the Pegasus. She waited the full 10 seconds for Fluttershy to arrive, and kneeled to Kate before looking to Shining Armor Cadence. Fluttershy, do you all know my Twilight had a brother? Fluttershy's wings unfurled slightly. Her brother? She looked at Shining Armor before folding one wing over her head. I'm sorry, she started out. She didn't tell me about you. She held out a foreleg, the rest of her body shrinking away slightly. A pleasure, mister. Shining Armor held out his own foreleg. Chelsea hustled Fluttershy. Please, call me Shining Fluttershy. He looked to the hole as his face was darkening. Oh, Twilight, he said, letting a sigh. A bright light from the hole caught everyone's attention. A golden ball of light floated out the hole, descending to the grass below. It flared, expanding into Celestia, Twilight, Megan, Mike, the children, and the other human. Shining Armor's body instinctively snapped attention at the Alicorn's arrival, but his eyes locked into Twilight as she stood there. Tip's entire body shivered. He adjusted his glasses and tugged at his Sarkara. Okay, that was... Don't say it, Megan said, tilting her head forward and looking her nose down at him. We both know what you were going to say. Don't say it, she said, waving him off. She went to Mike and placed a hand on his upper arm. You alright? Mike glanced down at himself, drawing his arms out of his side. Oh, think so. He looked to Celestia and bowed slightly at the waist. Thank you very much, Your Majesty. That was smoother than I thought it'd be. He saw a glance at Twilight, standing by Celestia's side. No thanks, Twilight. Twilight shook her head. Well, of course Princess Celestia's teleport would be smoother than mine. She looked up at Celestia. I've still got a lot to learn after all. Celestia extended a wing and gently stroked Twilight along her mane and back. You certainly learned quite a bit, Twilight, as your weekly letters show me. She winged her way and moused into a pack of ponies standing a few meters away. And it looks like there's some ponies waiting for you, Twilight, and some for you as well, Mike. Twilight's eyes widened. She reared back as she saw Shining Armor Cadence. Big brother! Cadence! She shouted, galloping off to him. Mike wrapped his arm around Megan and gave her a quick kiss. So, you'll be off for a tea party or whatever with Celestia? Megan opened her mouth, but stopped as she saw Chip stepping up to Celestia and speaking to her. The Alicorn chuckled slightly and nodded her head. I don't know, she muttered. She looked back to Mike, leaned in and kissed him. You'll be all right with Applejack and Blake Mac at their farm? Mike smirked slightly and headed to the steel box. Oh, thank Uncle Mias. Love you. He turned to Danielle and Michelle. You two all right? Danielle's eyes shifted back and forth as he spotted a familiar Pegasus on a scooter and two unicorns in a wagon. There they are! She held it in an arm and waved in hand. Hi, Skates! Scootla's tiny wings were a blur as she raced forward, towing Sweetie Belle and Dinky in her wagon. Dinky in a wagon with Sweetie Belle is probably one of the cuter things in existence. She skidded to a halt, but not in front of Danielle. Megan! She said, panting. You gotta come with us to Carousel Boutique! Sweetie Belle stood under the wagon, waving for a leg. This has gone insane! She said, wobbling about on her high legs. She and Spike went out to get to the gems for that big mean dragon, but after she came back, she locked herself in Carousel Boutique, and she's been throwing polykins and wanted you there! She looked at Megan with wide bright eyes. Please, Megan! She's got nuts! Daniel waved at Daniel and Michelle. Hi! She said, how are you? Michelle waved back. Fine, thanks. She held over her hairbrush, waving about. Megan glanced at Mike, then Celestia. I'll have to go see how weird he is, and what's going on with her, but... Celestia shook her head. Don't worry, Megan. Chip and I have much to talk about. But that's for a little later. There's somebody I'd like you to meet first. She stepped from the group, spreading out her wings. The carpal joint and luster over its brightened, bathed in Celestia in a golden halo of light. Almost everyone took to one knee and stood there. Cadence! She called out to the pink alicorn, standing near Applejack, Big Mac, Fluttershy, Shining Armor, and Twilight. Step forth! She folded her wings back and looked over her shoulder to Megan. This won't take a moment. Cadence's head shot up. She rolled her Celestia, leaned back, and kissed Shining Armor and tried off. Honestly, Aunt Celestia, she exclaimed, you make Aunt Luna look modest sometimes. She glided past Celestia, up to Megan. Are you Megan? She asked. I've heard so much about you. Megan walked over to Cadence, looking her over, noting the wings, horn, and the elaborate cutie mark. She stepped forward with Cadence, before extending her arms and wrapping around Cadence's neck. Ha! She said. She looked up at Celestia and approached. Okay. You and Luna are her aunts? How the hell does that work? Kate slipped into a hug, bringing her muzzle to Megan's ear. The heart of Ponyland gave birth to me 100 years after the Nightmare War, she explained. We're still not sure what happened, but Aunt Celestia was so lonely after what happened. Her voice trailed off, cracking near the end. Megan let go of Celestia as she approached. She looked off to the side, Scootaloo's in the air. Cell phones don't work here far from the hole, she said, pulling her own cell phone and holding it up. How will we get in contact with you? Well, guys, the doctor exists in this world, so I have a few plans. Celestia turned her head, looking at the path that led to Ponyville. Chip, would you mind visiting the Ponyville Public Library while Megan sorts out the problems at Carousel Boutique? I can order some farm from Sugar Corner while we wait. Chip's eyebrows shot up. A library? His mouth starts in a large grin. Awesome! He looked at his briefcase. I can scan pages into my laptop for study! He stopped and the grin fell away. Although your written language would have to be translated. He rose his chin. Although you speak English. Celestia's mouth turned up slightly. He used English in many of our books. She spread her wings and began trotting to the path, Chip falling close behind. Megan, please meet us in the library as soon as possible. Cadence, please make sure Shining Armor and Twilight are here too. Her expressive darkened. There's much to discuss. Mike walked over to Megan's side. I'll do my work as fast as possible over Sweet Apple Acres and hurry back. He leaned in and kissed his wife once more. Want me to bring back any leftovers for lunch? Megan snorted. I don't think we'll be fine. We had a big breakfast after all. She waved him off. Now, go play Tool Man with Big Mac and Ice Maker with Applejack. Mike nodded before turning off and walking off. He soon found himself beside Cadence as he walked to Twilight. So, Cadence. He bowed his head to her. Nice to meet you, Your Majesty. Cadence looked to him. No need for formalities. She tipped her head. So, you're Megan's husband, Mike Richards? As nodded, he stopped and extended a foreleg. I felt a deep love between you and Megan. You honor her. Megan looked back at Megan, standing near Scootaloo, the Foals, and their daughters. She honors me. He looked back to Cadence and rolled his eyes. Sarah, never was good with romance. Cadence giggled. You're not that bad. She turned and resumed trying off to the group of ponies, Mike at her side. Megan watched Mike for a moment before turning to Scootaloo. All right, Scootaloo, lead the way. Just go too fast, all right? She looked to her right at Daniel Malloy. Ready? Michelle, ready? At a confirmation, Scootaloo's wings buzzed, and her scooter, the wagon, and the two fillies she towed shot off. Megan, Danielle, and Michelle following him straight into Ponyville. Scootaloo, of course, gave a high hoof to a passing by little foal by the name of Little Pip, who was enjoying her trot with another little foal by the name of Homage, while two teenagers by the name of Calamity and Velvet Remedy were having a snack at Hot Cuisine. Really, you ended this chapter with a freaking Fallout Equestria reference? He asked for it!